Um, so, I'm supposed to get the clicker. Yeah. All right. So, glad to be here. I went backwards, forwards. I'm going to get this right. So my name is Jim Hume, as mentioned. I'm principal and founder of Phire Group. We are a brand research, strategy, and activation company located about 5 blocks that way. So I didn't come from New York. I walked here. But basically, we help companies, organizations, and communities build strong and lasting brands. And I'm here today with a little bit of a confession, which is I kind of hate my industry. At least I kind of hate what it's traditionally stood for. A definition of our industry was to actually create need out of nothing. So we wanted to build something and have you want something that you didn't even know existed yesterday. We were masters of romance and peer pressure. We used manipulation tactics, envy. You have one. You have one. Why don't you have one? What's wrong with you? Matthew McConaughey has one. What's wrong with the rest of you? Creativity meant sitting in tall buildings, staring down at the masses, and trying to trick them into wanting something that was crunchier, healthier, better for you. If you just had this one thing, your life would be different. Everybody would love you. You'd have more friends. And creativity was easy. Creativity was about a memorable phrase or a jingle, a fun mascot. You know, really, it was a little bit of a different time. I know there's a lot of young people here today. So people of my age kind of know this story, which is I'd come home from school, I'd sit down in front of the TV. We had 3 channels, 4 if the weather was nice. And you'd watch shows and you'd get pummeled with advertising the same ads over and over again. So if you cut up with my brain today, you would see about 1/3 of it is completely commercial jingles. Quiz me later, I will know them all. But the world has changed completely. So the mediums that used to feed us and pummel us are now fed by you. And creativity is not held by agencies anymore. It's held by the people, the customers, the communities. So now we live in a world that depends on you for your approval and your content. Consider this. You're exposed to more than 5,000 ads every single day. 5,000. So back when I was a kid, I sat in front of the TV and I saw the same ad over and over and over again. There are 5,000 ads that you're looking at every day, but guess what? You're not looking at them. You're looking at content. You're looking at everything else besides what they're trying to put in front of your face. So we've lost, as agencies, we've lost the ability to brainwash you. That was our biggest tool. So what do? And where do you go when you want to buy something? You go online, you check your peers, you check reviews. No ad campaign, no amount of money, no multi-million-dollar campaign can get in the way of a bad review. This one happens to be for sugar-free gummy bears. If you haven't seen this, go look at it. It's hilarious. And then there's the fake stuff. You know, we're pummeled by kind of fake advertising, fake claims, false things everywhere. We don't know what's real. We don't know what's fake. But one thing is for sure that if a brand is serving it to you, you're probably not going to think it's true because nothing else that you're seeing is true. So brands can't come out and just tell you something and have you believe it. And that's why when something like this happens, we all have a visceral reaction to it. Pepsi actually thought that this would move us in some way, and it did. It moved us directly online with a lot of different memes. And we punished the brand for it. Because it was so inauthentic and so not well thought through, this is what took place. But then there's PR. We still have PR as a weapon, right? That's a thing. We can do spin. We can spin anything. Well, not really. Because in a world full of camera phones and people and social activity, all of these things are being reported at a micro level. No longer can a CEO say, well, this happened, but here's what really happened. No, we saw what really happened. There's plenty of video evidence from about 5 different phones. So we don't have this tool anymore as well either. So what do? Our most valuable tool today for marketing is aggressive authenticity. Being real, being vulnerable, telling stories, and then inviting your communities in as well. I really thought that there was going to be a big screen above me and this was supposed to point at my head. That's not what happened. So, a little bit about me. I started my agency when I was 26 years old. That was about 20 years ago. And I was a complete moron. I was young and cocky and full of ego. I thought that I could change the creative world. And really, I entered the world thinking that creative campaigns, the old world of marketing, was still, that was my toolbox. So really, we focused on being a creative hotshop. It's part of the reason that we're named Phire. But that's in the past. But I was really certain of everything. I thought I had all the answers at 26. And I know some of you are 26, so I apologize. But like I said, I was a moron. We succeeded in a lot of different ways. We wowed the industry. We won a lot of awards. I have a lot of dusty trophies back home. But again, we were raised in the old world of advertising where we convinced people. But what we realized after a while is that when we look back, everything we created was entirely disposable. Nothing was left. We had all these campaigns, all these great ideas, all these trophies, but we built nothing. Instead of creating something for the world to enjoy, we forgot to ask the world what it wanted. The technology landscape has changed a lot, and we've been able to kind of take advantage of that. But basically, it was about gaining perspective, wanting to build something greater, really rejecting the industry and the way it worked, and creating a new process and a new approach to everything, which is all about human connection. So we started a transformation by studying the science of human connection, of tribe mentality, of getting people on board, of having them want to be a part of something. No longer do we want to manipulate people into liking something. We actually had to tell the truth and invite them in and want them to be a part of it. Our creative process is now executed largely by people, the people that we're actually trying to affect. So we start by asking questions, challenging questions, tough questions, weird questions. We're trying to get people out of their comfort zones and reveal something meaningful and do something completely revolutionary in today's marketplace, which is to listen. So we listen to them. We listen, we go beyond just hearing them and putting data down and presenting data. We listen to their stories. We listen to the why behind the what. We really kind of try to understand what they're trying to accomplish, what they're all about, what their purpose is as well. When you give them that forum, they want to run with it. They want to be a part of it. Some people call our process things like design thinking, human-centered design. These are all kind of labels that have recently been attached to the way we go about things. But we just call it common sense. It makes sense to reach out to people, involve them in the process, and have them actually be the ones that help you create. So it's all about connecting rather than convincing. I can't convince you of anything until I've connected with you. And even then, I don't want to convince you of anything. I want you to come up with your own conclusions. It's about unearthing instead of inventing. We used to invent stories as brands. This is what the brand is all about. This is the story behind the brand. We don't want to invent anything. We want to unearth what's real and what's authentic. And it's about involving people instead of revealing. We used to think it was great to kind of create something, build something, and at the end, we would pull off the curtain and reveal it to them, and they should love it. Well, they weren't involved in the process. Why would they love it? Now we involve them throughout the entire process. So creativity today works best when we are co-creating with a community. And what that works whether it's an actual community, which I'm about to talk about, or whether it's a nonprofit, or whether it's a Fortune 500 company. We apply this process to all of it, and it works because we are reaching out to the full community. So I have brought two local examples to show. The first one is for the city of Ypsilanti. So these are, how many people here are local to the area? Where's the hands? Many. So, okay, I don't have to explain Ypsilanti too much. But a couple of years ago, they came to us, actually it was the CVB of Ypsilanti. They came to us and with a proposition to sort of increase tourism. So the old way of kind of doing tourism is to kind of think in terms of, well, we'll just give them a slogan. We'll give them a catchy phrase. We'll give them a nice logo. It'll be like, Ypsilanti, the place to be, and put an exclamation point, maybe 3. But we started by asking questions. We dug deep. And what we learned is that kind of what we instinctively knew, but we learned all sorts of new stories, interesting stories about independent businesses, cool museums. They have all these niche, cool places to go. And we also learned about their people and what they shared in common, which was a true authenticity, a no BS mentality. And sorry, Ann Arbor, actually a pretty anti-Ann Arbor attitude as well. The last thing we wanted to do was put a slick brand on them. The last thing we wanted to do was create something and give it to them, and it was almost the anti-Ipsy to have a brand associated with them. So we performed a lot of focus groups. We asked a lot of questions. We did a lot of surveys. We learned about this truth, this authenticity, this pride that they had. What was good? What was bad? Why their bad was good? Why their good was bad? And so we gave them concepts as well. We gave them stories. We honed the stories. We gave them visual concepts. We honed those. We asked questions. We kept going back to the same people in the same focus groups. We were the point person on the project. We were creating for them, but at the same time, they're the ones making decisions. They were the ones coming back because they were the ones that were going to have to spread it. There was going to be no campaign. There was going to be no dollars kind of put out to put a big ad campaign out. This had to be grassroots. This had to be from them. And so we didn't create a campaign. We created a framework, and we called it Ipsy Real. The old way of doing things would have you show up with an answer and throw money at something and then test it and see if it worked after the fact. We did it the other way. We started small, we gave people the tools, and then we started building based on those tools. And by the time it launched, we were already there because we had involved so many people in this process. So we asked them to contribute your stories, contribute your photos, contribute anything you could. Add this to pieces of your business as well. So it looks very different than the ShamWow guy. It's you, it's their stories, it's authentic, it's real. And so this is from the inside out. And now, when people look up Ypsilanti, they're seeing stories of actual things, actual people. They're authentically experiencing what Ypsilanti is all about. And when they go there, they're not going to be surprised. They're going to actually be, attracted to real people doing real things. So we got out of their way, and then amazing things have happened. And really, we just set this up, and it's them that are building it up. So we go back and we take a look and visit how it's going. But we're not actively involved anymore. We're not the traditional agency with making media commissions on anything. It's just, it's out there and it's working. So the second example I have is the city of Flint. This is a bit more of a complex case, just in terms of, we have a client up there that it's the nation's largest independent specialty pharmacy whose CEO loves the area. He's contributing a lot to the area. He's part of the resurgence of Flint. And momentum was building, things were coming up, and then the water crisis hit. What we wanted to do is we wanted to respond in some way. And he definitely wanted to respond in some way. So we couldn't do the model that I just showed you, though, because that took too much time, too much explanation, too much studying. Something had to happen right away. So instead, what we did was created a generic brand called Flint Forward. The reason we picked Flint Forward was because we wanted to respond to what was happening at the time, but we also wanted to build a framework for something that could last beyond and do something when things started to turn around could be used to celebrate. So we started by creating a framework and then asking people to contribute to it. What are you seeing? What good things are happening? During the water crisis, how are people helping each other? Take pictures, send videos, do as much as you can. So this wasn't a campaign, and it had no purpose to it. There was no outcome that we were trying to create. There were no KPIs that we were trying to attach onto this. This was just goodwill associated with, we want pride in that community to come up. We want positivity to rise above. So we created all of these elements, all of this framework, and then people started to kind of come in. Sorry, U of M fans. Tom Izzo was involved with it. Local celebrities pitched in. And we had a lot of traction from local video companies and participants. And I'm going to show you a video of something that we didn't create, they created, in response to this. And I hope this works.
What is Flint? Flint is hope, optimism, movement. Flint is all of us. The vehicle city that is now a vehicle for change, redirection, and rediscovery. Flint is a place where potential becomes action, where ideas become real, living, breathing things, where buildings once left to slowly die are now quickly coming back to vibrancy, where those who abandon us now embrace us. They embrace our combination of intelligence, work ethic, and more than our share of resilience. We've been through it. But that's what makes us the perfect people in place to do anything. New businesses, investment, major commitments, ideas that will change this world from right here. So I ask again, what is Flint? Well, I'd have to say that Flint is just getting started, and we're moving forward with not just a gentle step, but with a purposeful stomp that will be heard around the world, and we are Flint. And from this day on, we will move in one direction, forward.
I'd love to take credit for that, but we didn't make it. They did. So that's the new creativity. They took pride in this. We gave them a framework. They came back to this. They came back to us with things like this. So imagine, as an agency owner, putting something out there in the world and having this type of response come back to you. That's not convincing. That's involving. So what I wanted to kind of say is that community participation in anything is the only way to create lasting impact, is to really create something that will stand the test of time and not be disposable. But that means it has to be authentic, it has to be positive, and it has to be lasting as well. So the new creativity is all about asking, listening, and responding, and then letting them contribute throughout the process. And this works not just with communities, but we work with companies in this way too, where we're starting to forge their cultures and then allow their cultures to be their greatest marketing tool in and of themselves. And it's based on a fierce, unabashed truth. Don't be afraid to tell the truth. Don't be afraid to take the shine off, because the new type of branding is not about being the slickest out in the market. It's about being the most truthful. And what can you do to be a part of this? Well, I challenge you guys to set creativity free. Create something, start something, ask the questions, but then let it go. And then see what comes back to you. Because you might be amazed at how it all comes together and how involved people want to be. So, thank you.